How are you guys doing? It is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to take you through yesterday's Monday Night Football matchup between the Vikings and the Bears. I'll also keep you updated on how the standings look in the NFL following Week 10, and I'll just preview the NBA draft on Wednesday just to let you know how that's going to go before I come back to you on Thursday following that. But jumping to yesterday's game, like I just said, the Minnesota Vikings were able to beat the Chicago Bears 19-13 yesterday in a game that went all the way down to the wire. The score was tied at the end of the third quarter after the Chicago Bears were up 13-7 in the third quarter. A couple field goals from the Vikings would tie the game, and then an Adam Thielen 6-yard touchdown pass, his second of the game, with 10 minutes left in the fourth, would eventually be what put the Minnesota Vikings over the Chicago Bears. I'm looking at how that game fared for the Chicago Bears. Their quarterback Nick Foles would complete 15 of his 26 passes, going for 106 yards and an interception. Tyler Bray also played. He completed one of his 5 passes, going for 18 yards. Their leading rusher was Cordero Patterson, who had 30 yards on 12 carries. Their leading receiver was Allen Robinson II, who had 43 yards on 6 receptions. On the defensive side of the ball, Tashawn Gibson would end up recovering a fumble in addition to logging 3 tackles on the day. Roquan Smith would be their leading tackler. He had 14 tackles. He had 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss on the entire day. Khalil Mack, their elite defensive end, finished with 3 tackles and a pass defended. And then he would also end up with an interception on the day because, of course, Khalil Mack being Khalil Mack. Looking at how the Minnesota Vikings fared, their starting quarterback Kirk Cousins would complete 25 of his 36 passes, throwing for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He lost 1 yard rushing, so he has 291 total yards of offense. On the ground, Dalvin Cook would finish with 96 yards on 30 carries, averaging a little over 3 yards a carry. The leading receiver would be Justin Jefferson, who had 135 yards and 8 receptions. Also, Adam Thielen would finish with 43 yards on 4 receptions and 2 touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, Josh Metellus would end up recovering a fumble, as he would end up logging 0 tackles on the day for the team. In addition, Eric Wilson would finish with 7 total tackles, one of them being a sack. DJ Wonnum would finish with a sack as well. And then just continuing on, Harrison Smith, their elite safety, would finish with 2 passes defended. He'd have no tackles on the day, but he would also finish with an interception. Big win for the Minnesota Vikings. They're now 4-5 on the season with this 19-13 win. Right now, the Chicago Bears are sitting second in the NFC North with a 5-5 record, and Minnesota is third with a 4-5 record. I imagine when Chicago takes their bye in Minnesota may have a chance to tie them in the division. But right now, that is what the NFL is looking like so far. Really quickly taking you through each division as we look at the NFL right now after 10 weeks, starting off in the NFC. Starting off in the West, the Arizona Cardinals, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks are all sitting at 6-3. Because of the way their schedule is set up, the Cardinals are number 1, Rams 2, Seahawks 3, and the San Francisco 49ers are sitting in 4th with a 4-6 record. So far in the NFC South, the New Orleans Saints are leading that division with a 7-2 record. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are sitting second at 7-3, half a game behind the New Orleans Saints. In third, you'll find the Atlanta Falcons at 3-6, and in fourth, you'll find the Carolina Panthers, half a game behind the Falcons at 3-7. In the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers currently lead that division by themselves, sitting at 7-2, tied with the New Orleans Saints for the best record in the NFC. In second place, you'll find the Chicago Bears, who, like I just said, just picked up the loss, but they're now half a game better than the Vikings. And sitting in third and fourth, you have the Vikings and the Detroit Lions at 4-5, but right now, the Minnesota Vikings are now sitting at third, and the Lions at fourth. And the NFC East, right now, the current leader of that division are the 3-5-1 Philadelphia Eagles. A game and a half behind them, you'll find the New York Giants, who are sitting at 3-7. And then in third, you'll find the Washington Football Team and the Dallas Cowboys, who are 2-7. But right now, it looks as though the Washington Football Team is sitting above the Dallas Cowboys, as the Cowboys are last in the NFC East. Jumping out to the AFC, starting off in the West, the reigning AFC AFC champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, are sitting first in that division at 8-1. Sitting second, you'll find the Las Vegas Raiders sitting at 6-3. And third, you'll find the the Denver Broncos, at 3-6. And sitting in fourth, you'll find the Los Angeles Chargers at 2-7. In the AFC South, at the top, you'll find the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans sitting with a 6-3 record so far. But right now, the Indianapolis Colts they're sitting in number 1 over the Titans at 2. Right now, number 3, you'll find the 2-7 Houston Texans, and in fourth place, you'll find the 1-8 Jacksonville Jaguars so far. And jumping to the AFC North, the only undefeated team remaining in the AFC or in the NFL are the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are sitting at 9-0 in their division. In second place, you'll find the Baltimore Ravens at 6-3, who are tied with the Cleveland Browns, but right now the Ravens are sitting at number 2. And in last place, you'll find the 6-1 Cincinnati Bengals, whose tie came against the Philadelphia Eagles. And last but not least, jumping out to the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills are currently leading that division with a 7-3 record. Half a game behind them, you'll find the 6-3 Miami Dolphins, led by Tua Tagovailoa and their amazing defense and special teams. In third place, you'll find the 4-5 New England Patriots, and sitting in last place in the AFC East, you'll find the New York Jets at 0-9. Currently looking out to how the playoff seedings are working. If the playoffs were to start today, first starting off with the AFC, the Steelers at 9-0 would have the number 1 seed. The second seed would go to the 8-1 AFC West leading Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills would take the third spot at 7-3. The Colts would take the fourth spot as they lead the AFC South as of right now over the Tennessee Titans because they beat them head to head. They have a better head-to-head win percentage. The Las Vegas Raiders would finish fifth in the AFC because they have a tiebreaker over Tennessee, over the Browns because of best win percentage, and then Miami would take number 6 at 6-3. Even though the Ravens, the Browns, and the Titans are also 6-3, but as of right now, the Raiders and the Dolphins, because of the way their schedules were set up, they right now are sitting in those wild card slots. But of course, we have 7 more weeks of NFL play. Jumping out to the NFC, the Green Bay Packers currently sit at the number 1 based off their head-to-head win percentage versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are sitting number 2, but both also at 7-2. The third seed would go to the Arizona Cardinals as they win the tiebreaker over Los Angeles, and they have the head-to-head win percentage over Seattle. Sitting in fourth, you'll find the Philadelphia Eagles, who are leading their division with a 3-5-1 record. And the wild card spots as of right now go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 7-3, and the Los Angeles Rams, who are 6-3, because they have a head-to-head win percentage advantage over the Seattle Seahawks. But with that said, that is how the NFL stands right now. Those are the teams that if the regular season were to end today, they would make the playoffs. And I'm going to get back to you, of course, following Thursday Night Football on Friday. But without further ado, I'm just going to preview the NBA draft because the NBA draft is set to start tomorrow night. Of course, big names such as elite young point guard LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, and a good amount of teams are already making trades for the draft to kind of prepare for the season. But of course, I'll get back to you after that. The NBA draft for 2020 is tomorrow at 7:30, and I will have my own little segment, my own little piece following that, just to give you a little bit of analysis and just to give you a look into it right after it's done. But with that said, I want to appreciate you for listening to all 8.5 minutes of this. It is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. I want to thank you for listening to my piece, and peace out.